The Stoic Power of the Brain. Mastering the Mind. Mastering Life. My fellow seekers of wisdom, today we gather to reflect on one of the most profound and mysterious powers we possess, the power of the brain. As Stoics, we understand that the mind is not merely an organ, but the central force that governs our actions, shapes our perceptions, and determines our lives. It is the seat of reason, the instrument through which we interpret the world, and the key to achieving the Stoic ideal of tranquility and virtue. The Stoic philosophers, from Epictetus to Marcus Aurelius, have long reminded us that true strength lies not in our external circumstances, but in how we choose to think about them. The brain, therefore, is our most powerful tool for navigating life's challenges. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," reminding us that the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our lives. To cultivate the power of the brain is to master the art of thinking clearly, of directing our attention toward what truly matters, and of remaining unshaken by the inevitable trials that life presents. Let us first consider the brain's power of perception. We often assume that the world as we see it is an objective reality, but the Stoics teach us that our perception of the world is shaped by our thoughts and judgments. Epictetus tells us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The brain is the filter through which all experiences pass, and it is within our control to determine how we interpret those experiences. What one person sees as a tragedy, another may see as an opportunity for growth. What one person views as an insult, another may view as a chance to practice patience and humility. The power of the brain, then, lies not in changing the external world, but in changing how we perceive it. When we understand this, we begin to realize the vast freedom we possess. No longer are we at the mercy of events, of other people's opinions, or of the randomness of life. Instead, we take full responsibility for our own experience of the world. This is the essence of Stoic freedom. Freedom not from hardship or misfortune, but from the tyranny of negative thoughts and irrational fears. As Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The brain, if left unchecked, can become a source of unnecessary suffering, inventing fears and magnifying trivial problems. But if we train the brain to think clearly and rationally, we can free ourselves from this self-imposed suffering. This leads us to the next great power of the brain, reason. For the Stoics, reason is the highest faculty of the human mind, the very thing that separates us from the rest of the animal world. It is through reason that we align ourselves with nature, that we live in harmony with the natural order of the universe. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes, the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Reason allows us to turn obstacles into opportunities, to see difficulties not as setbacks, but as the raw material for growth. The brain, when guided by reason, becomes a powerful ally in the pursuit of virtue. It enables us to make wise decisions, to act in accordance with our values, and to avoid being swayed by fleeting emotions or irrational impulses. The Stoic practice of reflection, of examining our thoughts and actions each day, is a way of honing this power. When we train the brain to think clearly, we become less reactive, less prone to anger, fear, or frustration. We learn to pause, to consider our options, and to choose the response that aligns with reason and virtue. But the brain's power does not end with perception and reason. It also governs our emotional life. The Stoics were not cold or indifferent to emotions, as some might assume. Rather, they recognized that emotions are the result of our thoughts and judgments. As Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Anger, fear, jealousy. These are not inherent in the events themselves, but arise from how we interpret those events. The brain, therefore, has the power to control our emotional responses by changing the way we think. This does not mean we should suppress our emotions or pretend they do not exist. Instead, the Stoic approach is to understand where our emotions come from and to challenge the thoughts that give rise to them. If we are angry, we must ask ourselves, what judgment have I made that leads to this anger? Is it rational? Is it based on reality? More often than not, we will find that our emotional reactions are based on faulty assumptions or exaggerated fears. By training the brain to think rationally, we can reduce the intensity of negative emotions and cultivate more positive, constructive emotions like compassion, gratitude, and contentment. Another great power of the brain is its ability to focus. In a world filled with distractions, the Stoic practice of mindfulness, of being fully present in the moment, takes on even greater significance. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions." The brain has the remarkable ability to focus its attention, but it requires discipline. When we train the brain to focus on the present moment, we free ourselves from the constant pull of distractions, worries, and regrets. We become more effective in our actions, more serene in our minds, and more aligned with the Stoic principle of living in accordance with nature. The ability to focus is not just about productivity, it is also about peace of mind. So much of our suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But the past is gone, and the future is uncertain. The only reality is the present moment, and the brain has the power to direct our attention there. By focusing on what we can control in the here and now, we free ourselves from unnecessary anxiety and bring our actions into alignment with our values. Finally, the brain possesses an incredible capacity for growth and adaptation. The Stoics believed that virtue is something we must practice daily, and this practice involves training the brain to become more rational, more resilient, and more aligned with wisdom. Seneca reminds us, "There is nothing the wise man does reluctantly. He escapes necessity because he wills what necessity is going to force on him." Through deliberate effort, we can rewire our brains to respond to life's challenges with grace and courage. This is the Stoic idea of prohairesis, the ability to choose how we respond to external events, no matter how difficult they may be. The brain is not fixed, it is malleable. Through consistent practice, we can cultivate the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. We can train our minds to respond to adversity with resilience, to approach challenges with a calm, rational perspective, and to find peace in the midst of uncertainty. This is the true power of the brain, the ability to change, to grow, and to align our thoughts and actions with the highest ideals of Stoicism. As we reflect on the power of the brain, let us remember that it is not the events of life that shape us, but how we choose to think about them. The Stoic path is one of mental discipline, of constant reflection, and of aligning the mind with reason and virtue. The brain, when properly trained, becomes the foundation of a life well lived, a life of tranquility, purpose, and inner strength. This speech emphasizes the Stoic view of the brain's power in shaping perception, controlling emotions, focusing attention, and guiding reason. It connects these elements to Stoic virtues, showing that mastering the mind leads to mastery of life, bringing inner peace and resilience in the face of challenges. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Hildebrand Lifestyle channel for more updates.